Good evening. So I did watch like 10 minutes, 15 minutes evening news. So let's reading all this media history, American media history. That's part of United States, but we're not going to read all kind of American media history the next many months because that's very big. All the TV networks, the radio networks, all the Hollywood movie industry, all the big Hollywood companies, and all the TV, the media in United States. That's super big subject. But I did like to read about this NBC, ABC, CB, NB, all these weird names. I follow on my Twitter, Twitter now called X. I follow many years, and Fox News. I like to read about it because it's part of United States. All this big national television station. And of course, we read about some of the big American companies, all kind of like Boeing, Boeing airplane, a defense company, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, General Motors, General Electric, Ford, Intel. There's really many big companies. And going to read about NASA, all kind of stuff, but we have to read American history too. We have to read about the states, all the different states in the United States and the main cities. But we cannot do that tonight because this will take many months. So let's finish this, and then I'm just reading something else tomorrow. But I think I would like to read the golden age of radio or something. I don't know, I'll look at that later when I'm reading. So that and I'm very sleepy. I'm very sleepy now.
Would later return to the show in 1985. Tartikoff's turnaround, edit. Fred Silverman eventually resigned as entertainment president in the summer of 1981. Grant Tinker, a highly regarded producer who co-founded MTM Enterprises with his former wife Mary Tyler Moore, became the president of the network while Brandon Tartikoff became the president of the entertainment division. Tartikoff inherited a schedule full of aging dramas and very few sitcoms, but showed patience with promising programs. One such show was the critically acclaimed Hill Street Blues, which suffered from poor ratings during its first season. Rather than cancelling the show, he moved the Emmy Award-winning police drama from Stephen Bochco to Thursdays, where its ratings improved dramatically. He used the same tactics with Street Elsewhere and Cheers. Shows like these were able to get the same ad revenue as their high-rated competition because of their desirable demographics, upscale adults ages 18-34. While the network claimed moderate successes with Gimme a Break, Silver Spoons, Knight Rider, and Remington Steele, its biggest hit during this period was The A-Team, which, at 10th place, was the network's only program to rank in the Nielsen Top 20 for the 1982-83 season, and ascended to 4th place the following year. These shows helped NBC through the disastrous 1983-84 season, which saw none of its 9 new fall shows gaining a second year. In February 1982, NBC cancelled Tom Snyder's The Tomorrow Show and gave the 12:35 a.m. time slot to 34-year-old comedian David Letterman. though Letterman was unsuccessful with his weekday morning talk show effort for the network, which debuted on the 23rd of June, 1980. Late Night with David Letterman proved much more successful, lasting for 11 years and serving as the launching pad for another late-night talk franchise that continues to this day. In 1984, the huge success of The Cosby Show led to a renewed interest in sitcoms, while Family Ties and Cheers, both of which premiered in 1982 to mediocre ratings, the latter ranking at near dead last among all network shows during the 1982-83 season, saw their viewership increase from having Cosby as a lead-in. The network rose from third place to second in the ratings during the 1984-85 season and reached first place in 1985-86, with hits The Golden Girls, Miami Vice, 227 Night Court, Highway to Heaven, and Hunter. The network's upswing continued late into the decade with Alf, Amen, Matlock, L.A. Law, The Hogan Family, A Different World, Empty Nest, Unsolved Mysteries, and In the Heat of the Night. In 1986, Bob Wright was appointed as chairman of NBC. In 1985, NBC became the first American television network to broadcast programs in stereo. NBC started repairing its old affiliations that were previously wooed by ABC, such as Savannah, Temple and Columbia, followed by Jacksonville in 1988. It also repaired WOUT, a station formerly affiliated with CBS, in 1986. In the fall of 1987, NBC conceived a syndication package for its owned and operated stations, under the brand Prime Time Begins at 7:30, consisting of 5 sitcoms that each aired once a week, and were produced by various production companies contracted by NBC. The series included Marblehead Manor, from Paramount Television, airing Mondays, centering on a mansion owner and the people who live with him. She's the Sheriff, from Laurie Martella Pictures and airing Tuesdays, a comeback vehicle for Suzanne Summers which cast her as a widowed county sheriff, a series adapted from the George S. Kaufman play You Can't Take It With You, airing Wednesdays, starring Harry Morgan, Out of This World, from MCA Television and airing Thursdays, which starred Maureen Flanagan as a teenager born to an alien father and human mother that develops supernatural abilities on her 13th birthday. And a revival of the short-lived 1983 NBC series We Got It Made, produced by Fred Silverman for MGM Television and closing out the week on Fridays, as part of an ongoing trend at the time in which former network series were revived in first-run syndication. The sitcom checkerboard concept was first tested on station KCRA in Sacramento early in 1986, and consists of 5 different shows in the checkerboard pattern, such as The New Gidget, One Big Family, Mama's Family, Throb and It's a Living. 2 of these, as Mama's Family and It's a Living, are syndicated revivals of the network sitcoms that were axed early in the decade. The package was aimed at attracting viewers to NBC stations in the half-hour preceding prime time, 8 p.m. in the Eastern and Pacific time zones, 7 p.m. elsewhere, and was conceived as a result of the FCC's loosening of the prime time access rule, legislation passed in 1971 that required networks to turn over the 7:30 p.m. Eastern time slot to local stations to program local or syndicated content, and the relaxation of the financial interest and syndication rules, which had prevented networks from producing content from their own syndication units to fill the void. The shows that were part of the package were regularly outrated in many markets by such syndicated game shows as Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, and Hollywood Squares. Marblehead Manor, We Got It Made and You Can't Take It With You were cancelled at the end of the 1987-88 season, with She's the Sheriff lasting one more season in weekend syndication before its cancellation. Out of This World ran for 3 additional seasons, airing mainly on weekends, and was the most successful of the 5 series. That year, in 1987, NBC planned to increase output of in-house productions for the next year, such as a series of half-hour dramedies, and made an experimental sitcom lineup for Thanksgiving weekend, the 29th of November, that would consist of 4 sitcoms on the lineup, which consists of Night Court, Beverly Hills Bunts, Family Ties and My Two Dads, and the low ratings for NBC's daytime lineup caused by the creation of the new soap opera that was set for spring 1988, Generations. At the same time, NBC confirmed its plans to integrate its NBC Enterprises division with NBC TV and corporate communications, with Enterprises merchandising and foreign sales becoming part of NBC TV, and guest relations and studio tours were added to the corporate communications branch, and a new operations service, NBC Operations and Services, was created. NBC aired the first of 9 consecutive Summer Olympic Games broadcasts when it covered the 1988 Games in Seoul, South Korea. The 1988-89 season saw NBC have an astounding 17 series in Nielsen's year-end top 30 most watched network programs. It also ranked at first place in the weekly ratings for more than 12 months, an unprecedented achievement that has not been duplicated since. 1989, however, also served as NBC's final year of covering Major League Baseball. The primary package would move over to CBS for the next 4 years before NBC regained the rights, having done so in some shape or form since 1947. Nevertheless, the network continued its hot streak into the early 1990s with new hits such as The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Blossom, and Law and Order. Must-see TV, edit. Main article, Must-see TV. In 1991, Tartikoff left his role as NBC's president of entertainment to take an executive position at Paramount Pictures. In the course of a decade, he had taken control of a network with no shows in the Nielsen Top 10 and left it with 5. Tartikoff was succeeded by Warren Littlefield, whose first years as entertainment president proved shaky as a result of most of the Tartikoff-era hits ending their runs. Some blamed Littlefield for losing David Letterman to CBS after naming Jay Leno as the successor to Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, following the latter's retirement as host in May 1992. Things turned around with the launches of new hit series such as Mad About You, Wings, Sisters, Frasier, Friends, and Will and Grace. One of Tartikoff's late acquisitions, Seinfeld, initially struggled from its debut in 1989 as a summer series, but grew to become one of NBC's top-rated shows after it was moved to Thursdays in the time slot following Cheers. Seinfeld ended its run in 1998, becoming the latest overall television program in the United States to end its final season as the leader in the Nielsen ratings for a single television season. Only 2 other shows had finished their runs at the top of the ratings, I Love Lucy and The Andy Griffith Show. Consequently, Friends emerged as NBC's biggest television show after the 1998 Seinfeld final broadcast. It dominated the ratings, never leaving the top 5 watched shows of the year from its 2nd through 10th seasons and landing on the number 1 spot during season 8 in the 2001-02 season as the latest sitcom in the United States to lead the annual Nielsen primetime television ratings. Cheers' spin-off Frasier became a critical and commercial success, usually landing in the Nielsen Top 20, although its ratings were overshadowed to a minor extent by Friends, and went on to win numerous Emmy Awards, eventually setting a record for a sitcom that lasted until it was overtaken by Modern Family in 2014. In 1994, NBC began branding its strong Thursday night lineup, mainly in reference to the comedies airing in the first 2 hours, under the Must-See TV tagline, which during the mid and late 1990s was also applied to NBC's comedy blocks on other nights, particularly on Tuesdays. Between September 1994 and September 1996, NBC would affiliate with several stations that were affected by the 1994-96 United States broadcast TV realignment, which was triggered as a result of Fox's acquisition of rights to the NFL in December 1993. Several of those stations, including Bull TV, WHDH, Boston, and WCAU, Philadelphia, were involved in an affiliation deal between Westinghouse Broadcasting and CBS, KSHB-TV, Kansas City, which is one of the stations involved in an affiliation deal between New World Communications and Fox, WCBD-TV, Charleston, which was involved in an affiliation deal between Britain Communications and ABC, and WGBA-TV, Green Bay, WPMI-TV, Mobile, and KHNL, Honolulu, which was part of an agreement between Fox and SF Broadcasting. By the mid-1990s, NBC's sports division, headed by Dick Ebersol, had rights to 3 of the 4 major professional sports leagues: the NFL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA, the Olympics, and the national powerhouse Notre Dame Fighting Irish football team. The NBA on NBC enjoyed great success in the 1990s due in large part to the Chicago Bulls' run of 6 championships at the hands of superstar Michael Jordan. However, NBC Sports would suffer a major blow in 1998, when it lost the rights to the American Football Conference, AFC, to CBS, which itself had lost rights to the National Football Conference, NFC, to Fox 4 years earlier. The deal stripped NBC of National Football League, NFL, game telecasts after 59 years and AFC games after 36 years, dating back to its existence as the American Football League prior to its 1970 merger with the NFL. Littlefield left NBC in 1998 to pursue a career as a television and film producer, with the network subsequently going through 3 entertainment presidents in 3 years. Littlefield was replaced as president of NBC Entertainment by Scott Sasser, who oversaw the development of such shows as The West Wing, Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, and Fear Factor. After Sasser was reassigned to NBC's West Coast division, Garth Aimshire was named as his replacement in 1999. Jeff Zucker then succeeded Aimshire as president of NBC Entertainment in 2000. New century, new problems, edit. At the start of the 2000s, NBC's fortunes started to take a rapid turn for the worse. That year, NBC's long-standing ratings lead ended as CBS, which had languished in the ratings after losing the NFL, overtook it for first place. In 2001, CBS chose to move its hit reality series Survivor to serve as the anchor of its Thursday night lineup. Its success was taken as a suggestion that NBC's nearly 2 decades of dominance on Thursday nights could be broken. Even so, the strength of Friends, Will and Grace, and Just Shoot Me, the latter of which saw its highest viewership following its move to that night in the 2001 season, helped NBC continue to lead the Thursday ratings. Between the 2001-02 and 2004-05 seasons, NBC became the first major network to air select dramas in letterbox over its analog broadcast feed. The move was done in the hopes of attracting new viewers, although NBC saw only a slight boost. Overall, NBC retook its first-place lead that year, and spent much of the next 4 years, with the exception of the 2002-03 season, when it was briefly jumped again by CBS for first, in the top spot. On the other hand, NBC was stripped of the broadcast rights to 2 other major sports leagues. It lost Major League Baseball to Fox after the 2000 season, By that point, NBC only had alternating rights to the All-Star Game, League Championship Series and World Series, and, later, the NBA to ABC after the 2001-02 season. After losing the NBA rights, NBC's major sports offerings were reduced to the Olympics, which in 2002 expanded to include rights to the Winter Olympics, as part of a contract that gave it the U.S. television rights to both the Summer and Winter Olympics through 2012, PGA Tour golf events and a floundering Notre Dame football program. However, it would eventually acquire the rights to the National Hockey League in May 2004. In October 2001, NBC acquired Spanish-language network Telemundo from Liberty Media and Sony Pictures Entertainment for $2.7 billion, beating out other bidders including CBS/Viacom. The deal was finalized in 2002. In 2003, French entertainment conglomerate Vivendi Universal sold 80% of its film and television subsidiary, Vivendi Universal Entertainment, to NBC's parent company, General Electric, integrating the network with Vivendi Universal's various properties, Universal Pictures Film Studio, Canal and Television Networks, and Universal Parks and Resorts Theme and Amusement Parks and Resorts. Upon completion of the merger of the two companies under the combined NBC Universal brand. NBC Universal was then owned 80% by General Electric and 20% by Vivendi. In 2004, Zucker was promoted to the newly created position of President of NBC Universal Television Group. Kevin Riley became the new president of NBC Entertainment. In 2004, NBC experienced a three-on-a-match scenario. Friends and Frasier ended their runs. Jerry Orbach, who had played Lenny Briscoe in its hit Law and Order, died suddenly later that year, and shortly afterward was left with several moderately rated shows and few true hits. In particular, Friends spin-off Joey, despite a relatively strong start, started to falter in the ratings during its second season. In December 2005, NBC began its first week-long primetime game show event, Deal or No Deal. The series garnered high ratings, and became a weekly series in March 2006. Otherwise, the 2005-06 season was one of the worst for NBC in 3 decades, with only one fall series, the sitcom My Name is Earl, surviving for a second season. The sole remaining anchor of the must-see TV lineup, Will and Grace, also saw its ratings decline. That season, NBC's ratings fell to 4th place, behind the resurgent ABC, Fox, which would eventually become the most watched U.S. broadcast network in the 2007-08 season, and top-rated CBS, which led for much of the remainder of the decade. During this time, all of the networks faced audience erosion from increased competition by satellite television, home video, video games, and the Internet, with NBC being the hardest hit. The 2006-07 season was a mixed bag for the network, with Deal or No Deal remaining strong and Heroes becoming a surprise hit on Monday nights, while the highly touted Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, from West Wing creator Aaron Sorkin, lost a third of its premiere night viewers by week 6 and was eventually cancelled. 2 critically acclaimed sitcoms, The Office and 30 Rock, also pooled in modest successes and went on to win the Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series for 4 consecutive years. The network also regained the rights to the NFL after 8 years that season when it acquired the Sunday Night Football package from ESPN, as part of a deal that also saw Monday Night Football move to ESPN from ABC. However, despite this, NBC remained at a very distant 4th place, barely ranking ahead of the CW. However, NBC did experience success with its summer schedule, despite its declining ratings during the main broadcast season. America's Got Talent, a reality talent competition series that premiered in 2006, earned a 4.6 rating in the 1849 demographic, higher than that earned by the 2002 premiere of Fox's American Idol. Got Talent, which is the flagship of an international talent competition franchise, would continue to garner unusually high ratings throughout its summer run. However, NBC decided not to place it in the spring season, and instead use it as a platform to promote their upcoming fall shows. Following the unexpected termination of Kevin Riley, in 2007, Ben Silverman was appointed president of NBC Entertainment, while Jeff Zucker was promoted to succeed Bob Wright as CEO of NBC. The network failed to generate any new primetime hits during the 2008-09 season, despite the rare good fortune of having the rights to both the Super Bowl and the Summer Olympics in which to promote their new programming slate. The sitcom Parks and Recreation survived for a second season after a 6-episode first season, while Heroes and Deal or No Deal both collapsed in the ratings and were later cancelled, with a revamped Deal or No Deal being revived for one additional season in syndication. In a March 2009 interview, Zucker had stated that he no longer believed it would be possible for NBC to become #1 in prime time. Ben Silverman left the network in 2009, with Jeff Gaspin replacing him as president of NBC Entertainment. Comcast era, 2011 present, edit. See also, 2010 Tonight Show conflict and acquisition of NBC Universal by Comcast. On the 3rd of December, 2009, Comcast announced they would purchase a 51% controlling stake in NBC Universal from GE, which would retain the remaining 49%, for $6.5 billion in cash and $9.1 billion in raised debt. GE used $5.8 billion from the deal to buy out Vivendi's 20% interest in NBC Universal. NBC's broadcast of the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver, in February of that year, generated a ratings increase of 21% over its broadcast of the 2006 Winter Games in Torino. NBC was criticized for repeatedly showing footage of a crash occurring during practice for an Olympic luge competition that killed Georgian luger Nodar Kumaritashvili. NBC News President Steve Capus ordered the footage not to be shown without his permission, and Olympics prime-time host Bob Costas promised on air that the video would not be shown again during the games. NBC Universal was on track to lose $250 million in advertising revenue on that year's Winter Olympics, failing to make up the $820 million it paid for the U.S. television rights. Even so, with its continuing position in fourth place, although it virtually tied with ABC in many demographics on the strength of NBC's sports broadcasts that year, the 2009-10 season ended with only 2 scripted shows, Community and Parenthood, as well as 3 unscripted shows, The Marriage Ref, Who Do You Think You Are?, and Minute to Win It being renewed for second seasons, while other series such as Heroes and veteran crime drama Law and Order, the latter of which ended after 20 seasons, tying it with Gunsmoke as the longest-running prime-time drama in U.S. television history, were cancelled. After Conan O'Brien succeeded Jay Leno as host of The Tonight Show in 2009, NBC gave Leno a new prime-time talk show, committing to air it every weeknight at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific as an inexpensive comedic alternative to the police procedurals and other hour-long dramas typically aired in that time slot. In doing so, NBC became the first major U.S. broadcast network in decades, if ever, to broadcast the same program in a week-daily prime-time strip. Its executives called the decision a transformational moment in the history of broadcasting and, in effect, launching 5 shows. Conversely, industry executives criticized the network for abandoning a history of airing quality dramas in the 10-hour, and expressed concern that it would hurt NBC by undermining a reputation built on successful scripted series. Citing complaints from many affiliates, which saw their late evening newscasts drop significantly in the local ratings during the Jay Leno show's run, NBC announced on the 10th of January, 2010, that it